I keep trying to make this video. But I got a new phone, so I don't have a pop socket yet, so it's hard to keep my phone up. Hopefully it doesn't fall again. It was too many times. So I'm gonna just do another bookish chat. It's sort of reviews, I guess. But I recently read Heartberries, or I didn't really read it actually. Technically, I listened to it because it was an audiobook. So Heartberries by Therese Marie Maillot. I think that's how you say her last name. But it's a memoir. So I'll be honest, I didn't really enjoy reading it. But that's because that's not really my type of book. I mean, it's good to read though. It's good to read. That's why I read it, because it's important to know what people have been through and things about other cultures, and I don't know. I just think it's good to read nonfiction and memoirs every now and then. But I do prefer to read like fiction type stuff. Like, where's the dragons? But yeah, so this is nonfiction. Memoirs. It was I guess I should tell you like triggers, like trigger warning, because I mean sometimes there's certain content that makes people like it hits a little too close to home, or it's just hard to read because of how, you know, very tragically it's some things are very common, unfortunately. And so, full disclaimer, trigger warning, the book has mentions of assault, like sexual assault and like domestic violence, a lot of toxic relationships, various types of that, both romantically and in families. Also, it deals heavily with mental health. So she mentions having like eating disorders. She's bipolar, I think she said, and like post-traumatic stress, and she at one point is hospitalized for these things. So if that hits a little too close to home for you, like that's maybe something to think about before you read it. It is really hard to read, even if you've never been through those things. I mean, like I said earlier, it's important to read nonfiction things and learn about what people go through, but especially when it's like these sorts of stories are important because it's like she mentions taking control of the narrative, you know, like not letting other people tell your story for you in their lens from the outside looking in. Like, it's taking control of your own story. And especially something as personal as something traumatic, it's important to hear their story from their own perspective, as opposed to other people taking control of the narrative, speaking over you, you know. It's good to hear from their voices, from their own voices. And so I found a series of questions, like book club sort of questions. I put, what was your favorite part of the book? It's difficult to say because the whole story the whole book was sort of a series of one traumatic event after another. There wasn't too many like bright spots, so to speak. So it's really difficult to say if I had a favorite part. I honestly don't think I had one. It's not my favorite type of story to read, you know, not my favorite type of book. But nevertheless, it's important, you know. What was your least favorite part of the book? Well, like I said, you know, trauma after trauma. I like reading fantasy and stuff. So just because it wasn't my style, that my preferred reading, that doesn't mean that it was bad, though. You know what I mean? How was your reading experience? I just put depressing, frankly. it's really hard to read. It's really hard. Not like linguistically, like emotionally, it's hard to read. What was the pacing of the book like? It was pretty straightforward, like, it's kind of speaking bluntly about the truth and not sugarcoating things. It was, yeah, except for the parts about in the middle of the toxic relationships, like the romantic relationships, the situationships, those parts felt kind of dragged out, but that might be for a reason, to sort of give you that feeling of how taxing it is emotionally to be in something like that. Which scene stuck with you the most and why? Because there's a part where there's a couple that they got drunk and then impulsively, as they were drunk, thought oh, we should have a baby, but they were in a horrible relationship where they were both really unhappy, and it was a situationship. And what's crazy to me is that there's other people in the world who think that having kids is somehow going to fix your relationship, and they're not drunk. And that's what baffles me. But it kind of stood out to me a little. But that kind of thing really happens sometimes. What did you think of the writing style? I like the way she turns real life and brutal truth into poetic prose. So, even though it's a memoir, something about the way she writes things could feel very poetic at the same time, even though it's something really hard to read emotionally. She makes something linguistically beautiful out of it. That's kind of an interesting thing. What do you think the author was trying to say? So I put, she's taking possession of her own life history and her own traumas and experiences and making art out of her memories and keeping her own voice and keeping her life and experiences, taking control of the narrative, which is what I said earlier. Do you have any emotional reactions to the text? Kind of I guess, just empathetically, secondhand pain. You know how that happens sometimes, when something embarrassing happens in a story and you feel embarrassed for that character. It's like that, I guess, secondhand depression and secondhand pain, just reading it. It's a really hard book, I'll be honest. It's not the most difficult thing I've ever read, but it's always going to be hard. It's always a hard thing to hear about anybody's traumas and anyone's pain, It's always, it's never easy, and if it's easy, I don't think it should be. You should never get numb to other people's feelings and experiences, just nonchalant about it. I think it's good to feel alongside them, but in moderation. So I like to go back and forth between fiction and non-fiction for that reason, because too much is overwhelming mentally. But it was quite a short book, actually. It was really short. It was good. It was a good, yeah, I'm not mad at it, is what I'm saying. I'm not mad at you. It was good. I think it's something that, like I said, everyone needs a little bit of. Reading memoirs and seeing from that person's perspective what their life was like. Yeah. So that was Heartberries. I'm sorry, that was kind of depressing. But it is what it is. I mean, how is trauma supposed to be, you know, fun? It's not supposed to be. It is what it is. So yeah, Heartberries by Therese Marie Mailhot. I'll put links in my in a community post for like if you want to buy this book. I'll put a link. I like thrift books, and I like bookshop.org, because bookshop supports local bookstores. So I like that. And then thrift books, it's secondhand, you know, sustainable kind of stuff. So I'll put links to either thrift books or bookshop.org in my in a community post if you want to read this, because it is very good. Like, I think nonfiction is important for us to incorporate, but my favorite is always going to be fiction and fantasy kind of stuff. So it was just one page this year. A lot of my other ones took up like front and back or 2 pages, but this one was just one. So that's all I gotta say. If you have any personal thoughts, I mean, if you've already read this book, go ahead and share it. Yeah.